Hey, kings and queens, I'm your girl Kay, and this is Queen Purple Reviews. In today's episode, we'll be discussing Never Have I Ever Season 2. Let's get into it. Okay, let's talk about Season 2. First off, let's talk about Davie. Now, Davie has grown so much over this season. Honestly, we still have her little, investigations and, elaborate schemes of excitement and, her vast jealousy. But I feel like Davy has actually learned some things over this season. There were times where she messed with Ben and Paxton's hearts. She was jealous of Anissa, or she was bad towards her friends. And I feel like Davy really put a lot of effort into wronging those rights. I think that another storyline of Davy's that I thought was really relatable was, being considered crazy because of, the things that you do or the actions that you go about doing. But the thing is, Davy really is going through a lot, and there's no timeline on grief. And I really think that she is like missing her father because, parents are so vital in that young teenage phase. And I think that she really misses her father's presence. She really misses his advice. And, she really is trying to do the best that she can, and I think that she's really good at heart. And I really enjoyed watching her progress over this season because I feel like she really made some breakthroughs. That therapist finally got to her. And I think that she came to an understanding that, people go through things as well, and you need to be considerate of that as well. You're not the only one struggling, there are other people struggling as well, and to be aware of that. But I think that she definitely improved as a friend, she definitely improved as a person. I'm really glad that instead of being so caught up in this whole team Ben and team Paxton, that she really found self-love at the end of the season, and I really respect that. And I think that's a really good story, and I was really satisfied with that. Okay, let's talk about Paxton. Now, I was really impressed with Paxton's storyline because for the majority of season one, Paxton was just seen as this cool, you know, aesthetically good looking person. And, of course, they showed, how he was with his sister. And I thought that was really sweet, but we didn't really get to see much of Paxton in season one, except for him just being like this perfect, set of abs that Davy is clearly attracted to. But I love that in season two we got to see a lot more of, how Paxton really feels on the inside and what his life is like. And, getting to see into his like family, into his like grandfather. I think that was really beneficial. And, I also think that it was good to see that because we saw the impact that Davy had on his life. A lot of people, including like his family, didn't have any faith in him. None of his friends thought that he would be, good at school. Because, Paxton finds himself in a predicament this season that forces him to, realize that if you really want to get into college, you really have to care about your grades, you really have to care about school. And I think that a lot of people really underestimated Paxton and only saw him as one thing. And I think that Davy really showed him that, it's possible. You can do this. You just have to really put your effort in. You really have to try hard. And I think that in that case, I saw why, people would be Team Paxton as well, because I think that they bring some good things out of each other. And I really admire that. And I think that, even though Paxton has his flaws where he can be a little mean to Davy or he could, pull rank on Davy, I think that he showed maturity. He stepped up to the plate, and I think that it's always respectable when a girl sets a standard and a guy steps up to it. I think that's very respectful and it shows your, effort, your love towards that person. And so I really admired that. All right, let's talk about Ben. Poor Ben. I feel so bad for Ben because, Ben is just such a nice person. He is such a caring person. I feel like if he puts so much, effort towards people that he cares for, even though his parents are a little flaky, he still shows them so much gratitude, so much compassion, and I think that's so admirable. And also, not to mention, Ben is really good for Davie as well. I feel like he encourages Davie to work harder. That whole rivalry they had in season one, or that they've had their entire lives, really shows, how Davie pushes herself to work hard because, she wants to beat Ben, and Ben works has just as hard because he wants to, beat Davie as well. And I think that's really good. And I think that even though, you know, Ben suffered a couple losses this season, I think that he took them with a lot of dignity. And I feel like he dealt with them in the best way that he knew how. And I honestly, I think that the relationship that he builds with Anissa as well is really, beautiful and lovely. And we'll get more into what Ben feels towards Davie when we talk about Team Ben or Team Paxton at the end of this video. So let's go into the next character. Okay, let's talk about Fabiola. Now, Fabiola is now in a brand new relationship. I mean, she was figuring out her sexuality in season one and what she was like, who she was interested in, and she found her interests leading her to Eve. Now, with this new relationship, Fabiola is really struggling to stay true to herself. She feels as though she has to adjust so that Eve and Eve's friends will accept her and Eve's friends will like her. But I think she learns that, sexuality doesn't define who you are as a person. You can still be into like what she's into, which is like robotics and tech stuff and engineering type stuff. You can still be yourself. And I think that she was kind of losing herself in her relationship. And I'm really glad that she learned at the end of this that, it's okay to be yourself. It's okay to keep being you. You still live for you. Even though you're in a relationship, there's still you that you live for, and you grow, you know, over time. But it's okay to just be yourself. And I think that was a lovely message for Fabiola. And once again, she continues to be one of the least problematic characters on the show, to be honest. She stays being a good friend to Davie and Eleanor. She stays supporting them. She stays, holding the entire friend group together. And that's really admirable. Okay, let's talk about Eleanor. A lot has gone down with Eleanor this season. So, Eleanor, at the beginning of season 2, seems to be giving Oliver, let's say, the cold shoulder. And I mean, she was so into Oliver, but these things tend to happen sometimes. Relationships, they fizzle out. And it was clear that her relationship with Oliver was fizzling out. And then with the introduction of Malcolm, I think that Eleanor realized, maybe she doesn't want that same old, goody two shoes type of character. She wants to try, to be with someone a little different. So she gets into a relationship with Malcolm. And, at first it seems to be going fine. They seem to be very compatible. But, throughout the season, we get some really possessive vibes from Malcolm. the way he speaks to Eleanor, the things that he says to her, the way she just runs after her. And honestly, I was really concerned about Eleanor. For a minute, I really thought that this was going to turn into some type of abusive relationship. But, I was also surprised because Eleanor always seems so dedicated to her friends, and to see her kind of take Malcolm's side over her friends was kind of, weird. But at the same time, I guess it shows that it isn't just Davie that, ditches her friends for significant others. It shows that, other people do that as well. And, that's a part of high school as well. And I think that Eleanor learns that, sometimes people can really cast you under a spell when you're in a relationship and make you feel like you're the problem. And I think that really connected to her mother's absence in her life, because I guess maybe she feels as though, her mother is absent because, she's not good enough. And I think that translates in her relationships. And so I'm glad that she learned or like realized that, because, I and ended, well, Malcolm dumped her over text. But I really hope that's the end for her and Malcolm, because I really wouldn't want to see Eleanor in that state again, because she really is a really good girl, and she's a nice person, and she's really interesting, and she has a lot of interest, and she's a good friend to Davie and Fabiola. So I hope that with a potential season 3 we get to see Eleanor get a relationship that she's worthy of. All right, let's talk about Nalani. So, Nalani, if no one's familiar, is Davie's mother, and she has a lot of interesting things going on. She is hellbent at the end of season 1 into the beginning of season 2 that she is moving back to India. And I mean, I understand why Nalini might feel this way, because, she lost her one support system in America, which was her husband, and she wants to be around family, and she wants support. She wants to, feel like, she has someone there to help her with Davie and stuff like that. So I understand why Nalini feels like she wants to move back, but throughout the season, we see that, she moves back. She goes back to India to visit, to set up things before she and Davy go over. And I think that through that trip, she realizes that, the support system she was looking for wasn't really available to her over there. And so, with that ended with her bringing her late husband Mohan's mother with her to America, which I thought was a really good, addition to the season, because, it brings a piece of her husband to her home, and, it brings her an additional support system. It brings Davy another, woman there to, advise her and help her. And so I think that Nalini makes a few, good decisions in terms of the India move and with bringing Mohan's mothers over. Now, another story arc for Nalini was her interest in Dr. Jackson, her rival dermatologist practitioner. And I think that that was interesting, because with that, she really fell for him naturally, and she really, laughed and smiled and felt loved again, which was really nice to see. Um, with their relationship coming to an end, of course, because, Davy found out, and it was upsetting to her, because, it's the wound is still fresh. They just not too long ago lost, the head of their house. And so, Nalini understands why Davy feels this way, and she ends the relationship with Dr. Jackson. But, she says something to Davy which I thought was really interesting. that being with Dr. Jackson gave her, a few minutes to forget the pain that she feels every day, knowing that her husband's gone and he's never coming back. And I thought that was really understandable, to be honest. And I hope that Nalani finds love in future seasons because, she really does deserve it. She's such a good mother to Davie and she works so hard and she's such a sweetheart. So I really hope that sometime in the future she will get the relationship that she deserves. Okay, let's talk about Kamala. I really admired Kamala's story. I think that she really learned to stand up and speak for herself. She learned to have that same rage that Davy has, where she just, stands up for herself. She says what's on her mind, and demands her worth. And I really appreciated that, to be honest. It was good to see her stand up in that way, She was really battling with these guys at the lab and all these elaborate schemes that they decided to come up with to, keep her name off the paper, even though she did a lot of research and her value was like great to this, project that they were working on. I think that it also allowed Kamala to open her eyes to see that maybe, her boyfriend Prashant wasn't necessarily the person that she should be with because, he was encouraging her to just, lay low and, not to raise too many flags and stuff. And I think she realized that maybe that's not what she wants. Maybe that's not the type of encouragement that she wants. Now, with that said, at the end of season 2, we see that Kamala is possibly going to be engaged soon. Now, this worries Kamala because she feels as though she's not ready. She feels unsure about if Prashant is a person that she wants to be with. So, we see at the end of season 2, she, runs away from the dinner with Prashant and his parents. And she goes off to hang out with one of Davie's Indian teachers, who I guess she seems to have some sort of interest in. And I think that we're gonna see some interesting things with Kamala in season 3 because she probably may be dealing with some serious battles because she's going against, what her parents want for her. And that's gonna be interesting to see how she deals with that. All right, let's talk about Anissa, our new girl. So, I related to Anissa so much because I know what it's like to be the new girl in a school where everybody's been, there. Everybody's been to the same kindergarten, same preschool, same, first year, whatever. And I think that I related to Anissa a lot because when you come in, you want people to see you in a good light. You don't want people to see you as some type of, crazy person or some type of bad person. And I think that when Anissa comes, Davie's very threatened by her because she seems so cool and she seems so chill. And, a lot of people like her, but that hasn't been Davie's experience. But I think that as Davie gets to know Anissa better, she realizes, Anissa really is a nice person and she really is a cool person and she is down to be good friends to Davie. And I think that Davie is excited about that. But I think that Davie is very flip floppy when it comes to Anissa because when she sees Anissa flirting with Ben, she gets jealous and she tries to, ruin Anissa's life at school. And, it reveals that, later in the season as well, that Anissa has some eating disorder problems. And Davie kind of blurted that out to a bunch of people and really ruined Anissa's image at the school. But I think that she also learned a really good lesson from Anissa, which is the lesson of like a genuine apology. And I think that was important. But all in all, I think Anissa's amazing. I think that she's good for Ben. I think she and Ben make a really cute couple. I think that they have really good chemistry, and I really hope that if Ben decides that he wants to go after Davy, that he does so in a respectful way, because Anissa is still his girlfriend and she deserves 110% of his attention. So I hope that it turns out in that way. Okay, let's talk about a couple funny moments from this season. There were a lot, honestly. I was laughing basically every episode. But let's start off with when Trent was showing Paxton his YouTube video of him reacting to other people's reactions. I thought this scene was so hilarious. Honestly, any scene with Trent is very funny. He's just he's just a ridiculous character, honestly. Another funny moment was when Eric popped out of Davie's closet, hoping to see, one of the girls he stole hats from. The way that Paxton, Ben, and Fabiola looked at him was so funny. I really enjoyed that scene. Also, guys, I can't give you all of the funny moments. Why don't you share some of your favorite funny moments from this season down below in the comment section? Now, finally, what we've all been waiting for, Team Ben or Team Paxton? Now, turns out in the end, we ended up Team Paxton. Now, I love the way that the writers did this because rather than Davie trying to choose between Ben and Paxton, it more went in a natural way of, you know, the flow of the season. Davie was really there for Paxton. She really helped him. He really stepped up his game. He really tried hard to show Davie how much she means to him, you know? And I think that in that last episode, we see that, Davie and Paxton are, hooking up. And Paxton really wants to keep everything with him and Davie private. But along with that, we see that, for the majority of the season, Ben had a lot of hatred towards Davie because, she played with him, she messed with his heart. And I think that that's what leads Ben to Anissa. And Anissa and Ben get together. Now, with that, Davie tries to deal with, and I thought she was really mature in this, trying to deal and understand that, what, Ben and Anissa together, I've accepted this. I had my chance. I messed up, But the thing is, she wanted to make sure that, she and Ben was still cool. But even in this final episode, we were getting vibes from Ben that he still had interest in Davie. And, well, Davie was conflicted because she was offered by Paxton to be his private, to be in a private relationship, whatever that's supposed to mean. And, Davie went along with it because, she felt that she had made so many mistakes and she had messed with people's hearts. So she would take wherever she could get. And I think that it was so beautiful, that dream that she had where she interacted with her father was really beneficial because, he reminded her that, it doesn't matter how many mistakes you made, you deserve more than this. Just because you made mistakes, just because you mess with their hearts, I mean, you apologized, you round your rights, right? And you still deserve more. You still deserve a lot. And I think Davie came to that realization that, she doesn't need to make everything in her world about Ben and Paxton, that she can really be okay on her own. And I really respected that scene where she went and told Paxton, you know what? I can't do this private relationship thing. I deserve to be someone's public girlfriend. I deserve to be admired. I deserve to be loved. And I feel like her setting that standard for herself really showed herself that she'll be fine alone. And now Paxton stepping up to the plate and realizing, hey, I love this girl. And I love her so much that I'm willing to, go to the dance, be with her, be her boyfriend, and just not care what anyone thinks. And I really admired how he did it even though he was scared. And I think that that was so beautiful, that entire scene. I mean, it was a little comical because, he bounced her down with his car and she fell, but I mean, he came for her and it was really beautiful. And I'm very happy with how things turned out. I know some people are upset because they were Team Ben. Um, but I'm really excited about Paxton and Davie starting a relationship. I think that'll be so interesting to see in season three, especially like how that goes, how things progress. And how Paxton is in a relationship and how Davie is in a relationship, because they seem to be very untethered. They don't seem to ever be in serious relationships. So it will be good to see how the both of them are in serious relationships. Now, in other notes, we also see that Ben is pretty upset to see Davie and Paxton together, but mind you, he's still with Anissa. So I think that in season three, he's gonna have a lot to unpack on how, based on how he feels about Anissa and how he feels towards Davie. I think he's gonna have to either get over Davie or realize that, it isn't fair for me to be with Anissa in this way. All in all, we're ready for season three, okay? I think season two was full of love, full of drama, full of growth, full of maturity. So, right now, we're gonna do the Twitter scoop. The Twitter scoop is when we go to Twitter to see what people have to say about the show. So, this tweeter said, "Why did Davie choose Paxton over Ben? I'm so tired of Ben being done dirty." That's funny. A lot of people actually feel this way. A lot of people are like, "Why didn't Davie choose Ben?" But I think that in the end, did Davie really choose between Ben and Paxton? I don't think so. I think that Davie accepted the fact that Ben had moved on and he was with Anissa. And the way that things went, she and Paxton started, hooking up again. And he really committed to her. So is she supposed to deny Paxton and then go and cheat with Ben? I don't think so. So I was honestly proud of Davie for, being mature enough to move on and accept her mistakes. I thought that was a much better ending than, her potentially cheating with Ben. Now, another tweeter said, "I love Gigi Hadid's narration, OMG. Yes, I totally lived for Gigi's narration of Paxton's episode. That was so funny, like between Gigi and Rebecca, cracking me up. And also Andy Samberg's mini, narration for Ben in that episode was everything. It was amazing. It was really enjoyable. All right, kings and queens, that was my full review of Never Have I Ever Season 2. Now, if you'd like to see more reviews like this, hit the subscribe button. We post new reviews every Sunday on this channel. Also, let's get down in that comment section and let's talk about this. Are we Team Paxton? Are we still Team Ben? I mean, he's still an option, right? Give me your season 3 theories down below. Are we satisfied with this ending? Also, while you're at it, drop your favorite TV shows and movies for me to review. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!